Stuart Carroll here from Drone Film Guide, the channel where we learn to fly like filmmakers. Buying this Mavic Mini has made us cast our mind back to the time when we added an aerial capability to our existing video production activities here in Scotland, and that aerial capability came in the form of a Phantom 2 with a GoPro Hero 4. Now, the GoPro 4 still had those bendy fisheye horizons at the time of capture. You couldn't straighten them out, and the Phantom 2 was a very different beast to fly than what you're used to flying now. It was very hard to fly smooth arcing motions. The whole thing was just a completely different pilot experience, certainly from a cinematic perspective at least. But yet we were adding that to an already established creative operation, so we had to find ways of matching the quality of the aerial footage with that other footage. Those limitations made me a better pilot, and it made Alina and I better filmmakers and better aerial cinematographers, in the same way that the cameras that we had at the time, they weren't capable of shooting in low light environments with ISO 6400. There'd be tons of noise, it'd be horrible. And as a consequence, we learned to use lights and shape scenes using artificial lighting and reflectors and all that kind of stuff, and we became better filmmakers as a consequence. Why am I going on about all of this? The Mavic Mini is in a somewhat similar category. There are clearly limitations compared with a Mavic 2 Pro. All that fantastic intelligent flight mode functionality basically isn't in the Mavic Mini. But that really doesn't matter, because I'm going to show you that with a little bit of filmmaking awareness, you can still get stunning shots, especially if we use the Quickshots. Thousands of you have downloaded our free ebook From Drone Zero to Drone Hero, 37 tips to get you flying like a filmmaker. There's a link in the description. Grab yourself a copy if you haven't done so already. In it, there is a chapter on the 5-step framework that we've created for great aerial cinematography with any drone, and that includes the Mavic Mini. We want you to look for ways of creating suspense in your shots. Don't lay all your cards on the table in the very first frame. Create depth. Try and layer your image with foreground, midground, and background elements. Use motion in a way that adds value. Understand your light source, the sun, and how that impacts the quality of your shots, and look for interesting compositions that draw the viewer's eye through the frame. Now, if you do all of that, you're going to be able to create stunning footage with any drone. How does this relate to those silly beginner mode quick shots, I hear you ask? Well, think about it. DJI in the Mavic Mini there is giving you the option of having an autopilot, where you can then put the controller down and do as you wish within that frame. It's an absolutely fantastic opportunity to create cinematic footage, and especially if you're early days flying the drone, it's going to be quite hard for you to fly rotations. The likes of the Helix quick shot, which is like an upward corkscrew spiral, is very hard to do manually, almost impossible to fly manually. It does it for you. So let's think about the suspense, depth, motion, light, and composition. If we want to create some suspense, we want to reveal new parts of the frame, we don't want to lay all our cards on the table in the very first shot. Combining that with the motion of the quick shot, we can achieve just that. If you look at this helix mode, as the rotation takes place, we're revealing new parts of the frame. Our eye is taken from me, the subject, out to the landscape. It's a storytelling shot. Anything that moves our eye through the frame makes a more engaging, interesting experience for the viewer and is more likely to hold their attention. What about the droney? If ever there was a move that sounded completely amateurish and for beginners, it was the droney. But it's not. It's a really cool storytelling shot if used in the right way. Set it up, it's just going to fly away in a 45-degree angle, whatever. But what if you do what I did in this shot? Turn around and walk away from the droney. As the drone flies back, that motion is revealing new parts of the composition. We've got tremendous suspense as we see more about where I am walking to. In terms of composition, we've got that leading line right up the center of the symmetrical composition, taking your eye through the frame. It's an incredibly three-dimensional shot, and the end result is extremely powerful. That could easily be the closing shot of a film or an episode on a TV program. On the Mavic Mini, we also have the option of the rocket. You set it up, the drone shoots up in the air, wave bye-bye to it, bye-bye, stick it on Instagram. Yeah, okay. Sounds a bit rubbish. Well, no, it's not rubbish, because that's an automated flight mode that you can use to create another storytelling shot. Think about the 5-step framework, creating suspense. Don't lay all your cards on the table in the very first frame. If you start off with that drone above your subject's head or above your head, as it shoots up in the air, it's going to reveal more of that setting, telling you more about the story. Also, the rocket is a great shot for reversing in post. You can reverse all of these shots in post, so the drone comes in to meet you and come to a nice steady stop right in front of your predetermined composition where you started that move in the first place. As that drone flies down, you're thinking, where's it going? Wow, there's a subject there, that's interesting. Down, 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 and it stops perfectly in position because you've already set up that composition. The end point of that reverse shot was the starting point, so you begin with the end in mind when you're setting up that shot. Finally, we have the circle on the Mavic Mini, which is much like the Helix, only it doesn't spiral up into the air. We just get a nice smooth rotation. Circles are very hard to fly if you're a beginner and you're not particularly experienced on the controllers, so take advantage of the Quickshot. You can move your subject through that frame as well. It's much like a point of interest, which is a rather more complicated way of getting the drone to do a circle. A quick heads up on how to get into these Quickshot modes on the Mavic Mini. Click on the photo or video settings button and you will get your options. Down at the bottom there is Quickshots. Click on that and you see the Droney, the Rocket, the Circle and the Helix, and on the left hand side you have some additional options where you can control the distance essentially that those moves travel. Next up, draw a box around the subject to which the Quickshot relates, and you can see there that in the case of the Helix you have an option to set a clockwise or counterclockwise direction there with the arrows. Hit the start button, wait for the 3, 2, 1 countdown and you are good to go. All done. Very important point, you want to hit that auto exposure lock button when doing these quick shots because there's going to be a lot of motion and the chances are the exposure is going to change in the shot, so you want to fix that so that you don't see that change in exposure and to some extent the change in white balance. We have a video on that, you must get on top of that video. I'll put the link up there in the info button up here, I don't know where it is, it'll flash up now. You must watch that video, it will turn your Mavic Mini from a beginner's drone basically into a semi-pro level drone as you're able to set a manual exposure. And you can do it here in the quick shots, which I was very impressed. Check out the Mavic Mini review that we did. As I've said a few times, we don't get sent these drones by DJI, so our opinions are our own, which I think is useful in this instance. It is a fantastic drone, a handful of limitations that are easily worked around. Yeah, we're big fans. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting. Don't forget to download that ebook and read it. There is some good content in there that is going to take you from drone owner to drone pilot to drone cinematographer. So get yourself a copy of that in the description below. It is free after all. And until next time, happy flying.